Good evening. Welcome to the February 1st meeting of the Sustainability Commission. Meetings are broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T Uverse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, iOS, and Android devices using a free app called Cablecast and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. Call 818-548-4013 for program schedules. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. Public comments on a specific agenda item will be taken when that agenda item is discussed. If you have any questions about matters on the agenda or requests for assistance, please contact the city clerk at 818-548-2090 during regular business hours. Thank you.
Roll call. Commissioner Bartrusev, Commissioner Khartounian,
Here.
Commissioner Werner, Vice Chair Bazemore,
Here.
Chairperson Pinkerton,
Here.
Ex officio Espanjan, Ex officio Welch,
Here.
Commissioner Bartrusev.
Here.
Next item, 1A, Pledge of Allegiance.
Join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1B, Land Acknowledgement.
We would like to acknowledge that we're holding this meeting in the city of Glendale on the traditional lands of the Gabrielino Tongva people. We would like to pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, and the Tongva communities who continue to be stewards of this land. We encourage our audience to learn more about the Tongva tribe and the many indigenous communities in California and beyond. You can find a list of books and resources at eglendalelac.org/Native American. Thank you.
Next item is 1C, report regarding posting of agenda. The agenda for the February 1st, 2024 meeting of the Sustainability Commission was posted January 26, 2024 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Next item is 2A, approval of minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Commission regular meeting held January 4th, 2024, sorry.
Does anyone have any comments, corrections?
I just wanted to note that the indigenous tree ordinance updates that were originally scheduled to be discussed at the city council meeting last Tuesday has been postponed to next Tuesday because a couple of the council members weren't feeling well. So I hope people will tune in next Tuesday and comment on that. Thank you.
Do we have a first and a second to move the approval of the agenda?
I move.
Ready? Roll call. Commissioner Bartrusev,
Yes.
Commissioner Khartounian,
Abstain.
Commissioner Werner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bazemore,
Abstain.
Chairperson Pinkerton.
Yes.
Next item is 3A, board member staff comments.
Anyone have anything?
I'll go. Yeah, I wanted to just make a mention about this door hanger that I received and wanted to thank the city. So this is from Public Works, Integrated Waste, and it just identifies the different types of waste that the city picks up. So there's the organics, the recycling, and the trash. This is something that I know the city is dealing with a lot of issues around separation of the organics in particular and how to deal with that. So this is really just an appreciation for whoever was involved in making this happen. It went out on all the doors in my apartment building, and I really hope that this is something that continues to be implemented citywide, because I think every household should have this information, if not in their mailbox, on their door, just like this. So thank you. That's all.
I'm just going to follow up with one quick comment. David, I've forgotten if we got a rough date back from finance about when they might provide the environmentally preferable purchasing specs.
We have received some information from them. We've got a little bit more information I need to gather, and then we'll probably put it on, probably not March, because I need to talk about the March Sustainability Commission meeting in a minute, probably April.
Okay, perfect. And, oh, I was just going to say one thing, though. Many cities are guilty of this. They no longer say printed on recycled paper on the literature they put out, and so that would be one important thing, I think, to find out about printing papers. Pretty much everybody complies with the requirement for 30% post-consumer for copy paper, but looking into like what LA was doing in some other small cities, I find that we tend to use a lot of printing papers without any recycled content. They're purchased differently, they're master sheets, but I would hope this has recycled content, but if not, if they could look into that, and please put that, that language on there, it'd be helpful. Thanks, sorry.
And on the theme of recycling, I noticed on my bill, there was a little insert about a new app called Recycle Coach, and so I downloaded it, and you put in your address, and it knows what jurisdiction you're in and what's recyclable in one jurisdiction might not be in another. And so so City of Glendale's in there, and I learned that coat hangers are not recyclable in the City of Glendale. So whether they're wood, metal, or plastic, they're not recyclable. But it's nice if you can put in the different category, and then it'll tell you if it's recyclable or not. So just wanted to thank the city of the Waste Management Group for putting that handy app out there. Thank you.
I'm going to continue with the same theme on the organic recycling and the replacement of the trash cans. The irony of replacing all the trash cans to create trash so that we can recycle more, I just found it a little odd that we, perfectly good trash cans in my neighborhood that we collected so that they can be thrown away, so we can get new trash cans so that encourages recycling. There was a bit of irony there. In terms of the organic waste bins, it was done haphazardly in my community. Half the neighbors got it, half didn't. So if you have organic waste, you need to knock on your neighbor's door and say, can I throw it in your trash can? Several of us have requested it. It is yet to be delivered. Most everybody got theirs about a month ago. We're still waiting. So the delivery of it was done through a contractor, and I can honestly say that it wasn't done well. So we need to really think about, number one, producing waste to reduce waste. And if we're going to encourage organic recycling, we really need to make sure that everybody has one. If it's an apartment building, they have one. So it wasn't done correctly. I don't know who needs to hear about it. Something that did work well, and I tried it twice, the My Glendale app. One of the times was a street repair, one was a street light repair. And both times, within a couple of days, the city came out, did what they had to do, and fixed the problem. So I encourage our residents to use the app. It geotags it. You can upload a picture. This is actually something that is working well in the city. So I encourage our residents to give it a chance to use it as much as possible. Last but not least, for our friends at the Glendale Water and Power, that I don't know whether it's them or whether it's the Business Association at Montrose. there are no EV chargers around Montrose Shopping Center. Not a single one, not a single public one. Maybe some of the businesses have one in their lots, but you know, the parking lots are city-owned. There's a huge lot south of the shopping center and several north of the shopping center. Not a single one. So if we are going to encourage transportation electrification, it has to be where people go for at least an hour or two. And, you know, shopping centers would make sense. Glendale Galleria has some. The Americana has some, but not Montrose Shopping Center. Maybe we need to think about prioritizing that area.
Thank you for those comments, commissioners. I do have one little bit of information, unfortunately, regarding the bins. Yes. When Cal Recycle rolled out the regulations, SB 1383, different jurisdictions, different cities all had, like, some had a blue bin for waste, some had a blue bin for organics. It was all different. So as part of SB 1383, they standardized that across the state. So jurisdictions that didn't have the right colored bins, as part of the rollout of that jurisdiction, had to swap the bins for the right colored bins. But I believe the old bins that were taken away were either taken to be shredded or recycled, or some bit. So, but I understand the principle of what you're saying.
But David, sometimes government looks at a problem and wants to solve it in a most efficient way. Or I wonder if it can be resolved with a big sticker that says blue or whatever it is. Did we need a whole new bin? There was nothing wrong with my bin. I keep my bin sanitized and clean, and yes, standardizing is good, but I wonder if we needed a...
Just the lids have to match the color
Yeah, but we
requirements.
could replace the lids.
That's why I was surprised, but I'm going to guess that the way the lids are affixed to the bins, that you can't just pop them off and on, that they would probably get lost, because that's what mystified me. I'm like, why are you replacing entire bins when the lid will suffice? But, yeah.
I just had a quick note on that. I did notice, I just recently moved and I requested a compost bin, which is free for residents of Glendale if you'd like to compost at your property. That the city of Chandler, Arizona, they reuse their old trash bins as compost bins. So they literally chop off the bottom so that the compost connects with the ground, and they drill holes on the side of the bins. And their compost program literally reuses the old bins. Now, that's no longer relevant for the huge swap that we did, but maybe moving forward with the new bins as they reach the end of their life cycle, maybe we can preserve those and use those as compost bins rather than purchasing a new product, which, yes, it is I think I saw on the packaging that it's recycled plastic, but still it is a new product that needs to be manufactured. I think it's actually imported from Australia. So why not use the existing plastic that we're using here in the city and repurpose it before it ultimately ends up getting recycled or shredded? So just a thought for future bin swaps.
I will just follow up with that. Possibly the contract when we purchased them had a clause in there for how to deal with them at the end of their useful life. But I would also think some small businesses might want the old bins too for very, storage, et cetera, et cetera. So selling them maybe at a discount rather than recycling them anyway.
So I do have one question for the commission. The bicycle transportation plan is going to the Planning Commission on March 6th. And there's a fairly tight time frame from the March 6th date when they need to get in front of City Council to get that adopted. So a request was made today whether the Sustainability Commission would want to partake in a joint meeting on the 6th with the Planning Commission. So you don't have to respond right now, but it's a thought, and if you could let me know, Chairperson Pinkerton, on discussion with your colleagues,
Sure.
whether that is something that you'd like to do.
That's a Wednesday? What time do they meet?
They meet at 5 p.m.
Okay,
So our normal meeting would be on that Thursday.
the next day,
So
right?
we would
Okay.
probably not have that
Oh, okay.
meeting, unless you want both meetings. So that's
Okay.
entirely up to the commission.
Does anybody have any, can anybody make a decision now? It's fine with me.
What was the time again?
5 p.m. to 8
5,
p.m.
okay.
on the 6th, March 6th.
I would be in favor of that.
But we'll confirm with staff, and I'll reach out to Chairperson Pinkerton confirming.
Alrighty, moving on to item 4, oral communications. Discussion is limited to items within the jurisdiction of the Sustainability Commission. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Sustainability Commission members may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff for investigation and report. There are currently no callers on the line. Moving on to 5A, action items. 5A, amend Sustainability Commission process for selecting 2 ex officio student non-voting members. 1, resolution of the Sustainability Commission of the City of Glendale, California, amending the Commission's process for selecting the 2 ex officio student non-voting members of the Sustainability Commission, Section 2C, requirement and application 3, changing the application due date from May 15th to no later than June 15th of the calendar year.
Good evening, Chairperson Pinkerton and members of the Sustainability Commission. As you know, Resolution 2002 was established for us to select the ex officios every year, and that identified the process of how we'd go about doing that and the dates that the applications would need to be sent out, the applications need to be submitted. What we have found during the process, and especially last year, it came to us that the May 15th date is actually in the middle of students' examinations, so it makes it a little bit more problematic, a bit more difficult for them to do that. So we're asking the Commission to make an amendment to the resolution that the applications would have to be submitted no later than June 15th, so we can accommodate the students better. And we think, even though we've always had amazing students apply, it would give a larger opportunity for a larger pool of students maybe to apply if they're not worried about examinations. So I apologize. In the packet, I put in the incorrect resolution. So the correct resolution is sitting on the desks in front of you. So we have a resolution to amend Section 2, the ex officio process established on the March 11th, 2021 Sustainability Resolution is hereby amended as follows. Section C, entitled Recruitment and Application, subsection 3 is hereby amended, change the application submission date to June 15th. And section D, entitled Screening and Selection, subsection 2, is amended to change the close of the application period to June 15th. So if the commissioners
I'd
have
like
any
to move the
thoughts?
item. Yeah. So.
Okay. Roll call. Do a second?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Barshusov,
Yes.
Commissioner Kartunian,
Yes.
Commissioner Warner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bazemore,
Yes.
Chairperson Pinkerton,
Yes.
and then 5B, selection of ex officio recruitment ad hoc committee.
Chairperson Pinkerton and members of the Commission, now we've amended the date. We can start the process of, again, selecting an ex officio member and a member of the Commission to be part of the Student Recruitment Committee. It's always good to have the ex officios on because they can talk to their counterparts and be part of that interview process and really get across to incoming students what the job is, what's entailed. And also, obviously, we like a member of the Commission. So it's for the commissioners to select an ex officio and a member of the Commission to be part of the ad hoc student committee.
Just curious, has everyone on the commission already been on this ad hoc committee, or is there anyone that's not? Okay. Now we're waiting for you to volunteer, but
That will be it.
Well, is anybody interested?
I'm happy to volunteer myself,
Okay.
as the student member at least.
do we need another commissioner, or is the two adequate?
It's one commissioner and
One
one
ex
student ex
officio?
officio.
Okay. So it looks like we have our candidates.
Roll call,
So moved, yes, thank you. Oh, so moved. Okay. Okay.
roll call, Commissioner Bartusev,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartunian,
Yes.
Commissioner Warner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bazemore,
Yes.
Chairperson Pinkerton.
Yes.
Item 6, reporting information. 6A, Green Business Program, California Green Business Network.
Chairperson Pinkerton, members of the commission. The commission requested that we have the Green Business Program, the people who manage the Green Business Program, to come and present to the commission the update of the Green Business Program, how it's working, the success of the program. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Etienne Ozarek, who's our Integrated Waste Management Superintendent, and his department runs the California or the Green Business Program on behalf of the city. Etienne, please.
Good evening, Chairperson Jennifer Pinkerton and commissioners of the board. I'm happy to be here. This is my first time in front of you, and it's been a long time since I've heard about your wonderful efforts here. And as David was mentioning, after your January meeting, where you requested to know more about this program, which has been a wonderful program that's been going on in the city for even before I joined the city 4 years ago. This is one of many programs that we have, and I would like to invite any one of you to come and visit our facility and learn more about our programs at any time. I'm more than happy to answer questions. So with me tonight is Susie Borlito, who is with Sustainable Works. She's our current contractor that manages the Green Business Program. Susie?
Nice to meet you all. I'll sit down. This is very comfortable. Yeah, so I've been administering Glendale's program for almost a year. We started our contract March 2024. Okay. Hi, so I'm Susie Borlito from Sustainable Works. Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to have been the chosen firm to administer this program. We've been administering it since March 2023, so we're almost on our first year. And we took over the administration from Brendan Schur. This program has been around since 2019. So I can talk a lot about this program, but I will stick to the slides. So here we go. And advance. Can you? That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. So Glendale, the Green Business Program is administered in about 50 cities or counties statewide. So we're one of 50 counties or cities administering this. It's a government-funded program, and it's offered free to businesses in most of the cities and counties. Some cities charge. Glendale, we do not charge. The California Green Business Network is the overarching network of coordinators statewide that they establish the criteria for the program and they maintain the database. So all of the cities and counties feed into the same database. We collect metrics, and the criteria is pretty much the same statewide. Cities and counties can elect to have more elective measures or fewer elective measures, but statewide, there are required measures like recycling, water efficiency, energy efficiency, et cetera. So the checklist of measures help businesses improve energy and water efficiency, recycling, green procurement, improve their healthy business model, and develop community engagement. We have a community section as well in the checklist. There are many sectors that can participate, but in Glendale, we currently provide free assistance to office, retail, and restaurant sectors. These are the most common sectors so far we've seen citywide. If other business sectors like hair salons, medical offices if we get demand from those sectors, we can just click a button and add those checklists to the program. But for now, these are the three. So to date, we've certified 77 businesses. Here are the numbers. So we're almost, 23, 24 is where we are now. We're currently we've certified 17 businesses. We may have a couple complete in the next month, but we've enrolled 30. And so far, so a little over half has certified. So when I talk about these numbers, they may not look very impressive, only 77 businesses, but we gather metrics. So we feed in metrics like how many lights changed to LED, how many toilets were swapped out, HVAC units maintained. So we collect pretty impressive numbers. I did not print the information, but in terms of greenhouse gas emissions saved, kilowatt hours saved, solid waste diverted, we collect all of those, and those are really the impressive numbers that maybe we should have added to this presentation, but it is a very impactful program. So in the last year, we have touched over 150 businesses about the program. That's mainly been door-to-door, just door-to-door canvassing. We have published some social media articles in chamber newsletters, but according to our records, we've informed 150. 29 businesses enrolled as of last week. As of this week, we've enrolled our 30, and 17 certifications, again, completed so far. These are the businesses we've certified so far. Should I read them out, or? No. So there they are. There's a list of them that we're really happy they've completed the criteria. And next slide, please. Thank you. So this is the process for each business. Once the business enrolls in the program, they enroll on the database. We schedule and perform an on-site assessment. If they are ill, or if COVID happens again, we can perform the assessment virtually, but happy that we can do them on-site. The assessments take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. We assess in all of the areas I mentioned previously. Then we check off the measures that the businesses already have in process, and then the remaining measures to fulfill the criteria, we call that their action plan. And so we generate an action plan. It can be anywhere from 10 measures, 5 measures if they're a stellar business, to 30 measures that they need to complete. We educate employees, provide employee training as needed, and we really guide the business step by step to achieve the certification criteria. The program features. So we help businesses directly by doing all of these things. Reducing water use, we have purchased a bunch of faucet aerators. So we are, turnkey actions. So when we are on site assessing the business, if we see that their faucets are flowing above half a gallon per minute, their hand faucets, if we can remove them, we're not plumbers, but we've been doing this for a long time. So we just replace with an aerator that reduces the flow of water, and boom, we've reduced water right away. For energy use, we connect the business with Edison, with Willdan. Willdan is the contractor for Edison business efficiency programs. Some businesses have received free retrofits. If they're not eligible, we actually have an internal rebate of up to $1,500 through the California Green Business Network. So businesses, almost all of them, have taken advantage of this rebate for replacing LED lights, HVAC units, purchasing green cleaning chemicals, and we also give businesses free green product samples through this grant, so they can try the product, see if they like it, hand soap, daily use cleaner, etc. So businesses receive, again, it's no charge, and on top of being no charge, many of them receive a really generous rebate. Yeah, I just came actually today from delivering recycling bins. Here we go, waste assessment. So this is all businesses receive, an assessment and especially a waste assessment. So we assess their area. If they don't have recycling or organics bins, we connect with Etienne's office, and we've been able to purchase, again, through the grant, a bunch of Slim Jim bins, small blue bins, big blue bins, compost pails. We deliver them to the business, help them set it up. We have signage, of course. We label the bins from Etienne's office, train the employees to make sure they know what goes where. And then, if you can see, we feed in the numbers to the database. So what current bins do they have? And then at the end of the program, we report on what bins they've received. Next slide, please. So marketing and outreach, how we've promoted the program. Again, a lot of door to door, but we have submitted articles in various newsletters. We're starting to work a little more with the Glendale and Montrose chambers as we go into year 2 of the contracts. We got approved, and it's in process now, so we'll be doing year 2 from March to March. And we're hoping in March to attend the city council meeting to recognize all the businesses that were certified. Currently, they've all received window clings that go, if they have a storefront window, they've received a certificate, a congratulations letter. At the city council meeting, they'll be presented with city commendation scrolls. And for the businesses that received the Tier 2 certification, there's an entry-level tier and then a Tier 2. The Tier 2 certification businesses receive a placard. Okay, so moving on to year 5 of the program next year, so starting up soon, our contractual goals are pretty much the same. We're going to enroll at least 30 businesses, and remember, to enroll 30, you need to touch at least about 100 to get the 30 to enroll. Follow up, provide one-on-one guidance, as we've been doing. Our goal is to certify at least 50%, aiming between 15 and 20, similar to this year. If we can do more, we will. Incorporate organics recycling as a mandatory green business measure, unless the business doesn't generate enough and it's waived. And we help facilitate low to no cost rebates through Glendale Water and Power, energy upgrade program, Wildan, like I mentioned. And the California Green Business Network, they sometimes receive Cal EPA grants in addition to this internal grant we've coordinated. So at the moment, it doesn't look like that grant funding is going to come in from Cal EPA, but if it does, we facilitate an additional rebate as well. And in terms of reporting, the metrics, we calculate those, can report as needed, and we can generate really any report needed of how many businesses and what the impacts were. And that's it for me right now. I also brought sample flyers, leaflets. If anybody's interested, I can pass them around. Would you like? We have them in English, Armenian. So the larger flyers were generated from Public Works. So the city created these. And then we have some samples from the California Green Business Network. There you go.
Thank you. Very, very helpful. I work for the City of LA, and somebody on my staff runs the Green Business Program for LA, but I've always had a question. We have new staff now, because a lot of businesses are tenants. They don't own their facilities. So as far as water and energy efficiency and even waste generation, a lot of those are out of their direct control. I don't know if I, as a tenant, have the right to put in LEDs or aerators, et cetera. So how do you do GHG calculations when somebody's a tenant? Is it like per capita based on the number of people in the business? Just curious.
No, it's per fixture replaced. So in those cases, and that's most businesses, we ask the tenant, do they have a good relationship with the property manager? Can we liaise? Sometimes the property manager is open, so we can work with them and get permission to switch out the toilets and the fixtures. In the cases where that isn't the case, we unfortunately can't retrofit the toilet, but we can usually install the faucet aerators, because that's not a big plumbing change. And so we calculate how many 0.5 aerators installed in a bathroom sink that had 2 gallons per minute, it went down to 0.5. So that's how the metrics are calculated. What was the existing fixture and what did we replace it with?
Have you, just curious, because I would think it might, a top-down approach to talk to building owners, facility managers, you know, there are a lot like BOMA, other organizations like that. Have you approached them about this is something that will save you as the property owner or manager money? I'm just curious, rather
We
than
haven't tried
trying
that
to.
in Glendale. I administer programs in other cities like Santa Monica, Culver City, and the property managers, it's A, really hard to get in touch with them. B, you know, we're door-to-door, business to door-to-door outreach, and the property manager is never there. And then oftentimes the business isn't comfortable giving the property manager, so we haven't cracked that nut yet on how to reach the property managers. If, you know, if Glendale has mom and pop property managers, we, you know, if we could get them together, that would work, but for the larger.
I honestly don't know. I would suggest going to the BOMA LA chapter because they used to have a regional newsletter, and maybe they have some contacts here. Because I just think, you know, the way you're doing it, admirable effort, but very difficult to try to go through up from the tenants to reach the property managers that can make decisions on, especially on energy and water consumption. So
Yeah, and so far it's worked.
Okay.
Water is the tricky one, like the toilets are tricky,
Sure.
but most tenants, I'd say, you know, 80% they control their lighting. So in fixtures, and they receive a separate energy bill. So the lighting hasn't been, you know, the rebate or the persons whose name is on the bill, they're the ones that have to work with the rebate. And so far, it's the majority of businesses pay the energy bill.
What's the makeup of the organizations that you've enrolled? Is it, you mentioned there's the 3 categories, but what's the like breakdown in terms of percentages from each of those categories in that 77?
Well, I'd say the majority is office retail. Those are like small retail, small offices, acupuncture clinics. 25% to 30%, I'm just guessing here, is food service. So coffee shops, restaurants, again, our goal is to enroll. This program is really designed for small to medium-sized businesses, not the large businesses that already have a lot of resources and, you know, all the incentives. So mom and pop, but I'd say the majority is, office retail, maybe like 75 to 25.
Okay. And the hurdle you mentioned of enrolling them and only getting something like 30%, is that primarily because of what you're just describing, like inability to like communicate with the property manager themselves? What are some of the reasons they give?
A city program. It's skepticism. It's too good to be true. It's a free service. I get a rebate. So we really rely on but one of the required measures once businesses enroll is to recommend another business, because word of mouth, and this program was great. They didn't hassle me, no problem. So that's how we really rely on that to enroll. It's really just skepticism, and also it's going to cost me more, all of those things, even though we can prove that it's really not going to cost them a lot more.
Sure. And then you mentioned there's a window cling that's offered. Do you have other forms of promotion for these companies? So does the city, for instance, have a website? I have never heard about this business or this program until tonight. I mean, maybe one time before, but is that something that the city provides, is an online list of these businesses? And then I guess I'm thinking further, like, is there any sort of like promotion that the city maybe offers, like on Glendale TV or something? Anyways.
Yes, there's a little history with that, because there is a website. It's right here, glendalega.gov/greenbusiness. I was surprised that the list of businesses isn't published on this website when I began, and I think from what I remember Regina telling me, 5 years ago when this program started, there's a group in Glendale that is it's a group in Glendale that is very pro-green. And I think what happened is they were bombarding the certified businesses too much with, what did you do? We want to promote you. And businesses got a little turned off. So years ago, it was decided not to publish the list of businesses, but I would like to to survey the current year. Once we finish this year, I'd like to survey all of them and ask them if we can list them on the directory, because I think that's, that's part of the reason to do it too, is to be recognized and promoted. So that's something that we're going to look into.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, absolutely, because, I would like to have a central database where I could just go online to this website and just
Yes.
look it up.
However, on the California Green Business Network website, which is greenbusinessca.org, on that website, businesses are listed. You can search Glendale certified on that site, and they will pop up on the statewide website. But we're going to work on the internal
Sure.
Glendale.
I think the solution to the complaints from some of the businesses would be, let's take them off the list in the city of Glendale instead of penalizing everybody, the 77 that have gone through it.
Yes.
The few that complained, let's take those off.
Yes, and I wasn't around. This was like in 2019 or 20.
Okay.
So I think a lot has happened since then. So I think we can
Question,
revisit that.
How are we currently publicizing this? You mentioned door to door. I mean, that's great, admirable, but
Oh, yes. If you go a few slides back, I have a list here. There we go. So it has been newsletter articles published in Economic Development, the chambers, the City Connections, door to door, and we're currently now that we're established here and we feel good about Glendale, we'd like to partner. Form more formal partnerships with the Glendale and Montrose chambers.
I would think the first place that people would look is Glendale Water and Power's website, because there's rebates on there, there's programs on there. And a business could look and say, oh, I guess Glendale doesn't offer it. Because when people ask me, that's where I usually direct them to and say, check on the Glendale Water and Power's website. They usually would know whether they're offering rebates for energy efficiency and LED conversions and water savings. But, I would strongly recommend listing it there.
If they will let us, because it's kind of might be a little competing program. But we could, I don't know if Glendale Water
It's a
and Power.
publicly funded program, right? It's city-funded program, so we're competing against ourselves by all means.
Okay. Yeah, we
let
could-
the residents save energy and water.
That's a really good idea. If they would, because and our program goes beyond energy and water, right? It's energy, water, green cleaning chemicals, waste diversion, community involvement.
Would we need to send a formal request to Glendale Water and Power? How do we connect her to Glendale Water and Power?
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Does Water and Power have account reps for small business, like, I know
Large.
DWP, just for large, not for the mom and pop then?
Yeah, that's who
Okay. Oh,
So that would be they're large and we serve the smaller. Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Do you have a sense, or do you know how many businesses there are in Glendale that would fit within the small to medium size? Is it?
I think the majority, it's just,
Or, sorry, do you have a number? I'm just trying to put the 77 into, give some context to that number.
I don't have, with small to me, I don't have a number off the top of my head. I don't know
Okay.
if Etienne, you know.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thanks for the presentation. I also have not heard of the program, so it's great to hear that it's around and operational. One of the things I thought about is I think in maybe the second or third slide, if you're able to go back about like the resources that are offered.
I think it's one more.
Yeah, so the green product samples, I was trying to recall the list that you had mentioned verbally. Does that list of product samples include greenware, like to-go containers? I know we've been talking a lot about single-use plastics.
Yes.
Is that part of the list of offerings?
We do offer some, but I know that there's a consultant, Recreate, that's working with David, that they're really focused on the foodware. So we're actually meeting with them next week to try to work together better. But we've been offering I've been directing these programs for 22 years, so I do have my little stash of foodware that we've been showing, that we've demoed to the restaurants that we've been working with.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're collaborating because at the council level and with, you know, the business industry, there's been a lot of talk about single-use plastics and how do we get around providing these options to restaurants that are concerned about their structural integrity or whatever, holding hot foods and all that. So it's great that this is available and will be more available to folks. With the limited outreach capabilities that you do have, I know there's been suggestions about reaching out to the masses, but with the targeted door-to-door that you do, is there like some type of strategic approach where you're targeting like high volume, like high impact businesses? I'm thinking about like the pastry shops, the Portos, the King Tacos, the businesses that really churn out a lot of product. Is there an effort to reach out to those folks first to get the highest bang for your buck?
So as I mentioned before, the corporate businesses, chain businesses, they're actually really hard. They're difficult to work with because they all have to report to the corporate office, and the local locations don't have a lot of say in what to participate in. So, and again, this program primarily is for the small to medium. So outreach, it varies on, let's pick these 3 blocks of Brand Street and just hit up these businesses. And we'll just knock and see if we're receptive. Another approach we do is just research, like internet, Yelp, or whatever internet research we can do to see what businesses would be interested. Are they already mentioning, wellness or sustainability, and then we can help them get recognized for what they're doing. So we do many approaches, and then whatever works. I do have a team of several people, and I'd have to ask them like more particulars, but I know that those are at least 2 approaches that we've tried. And then the word of mouth thing, the 3 really helps, that businesses recommend other businesses.
Right. Okay, great. And then there was one slide after this one that talked about the phasing. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, sorry, go back. That one. Yep. So, 3 to 6 months. So I know that's like highly variable on their responsiveness, right?
Exactly. It's, if they have a death in the family, again, we're working with very small, so yeah, that's the window. Sometimes it's longer than 6 months. Sometimes it's 2 months. It depends how gung-ho they are and how much bandwidth they have to work with us. We work around their schedule.
Great. Yeah, I'm thinking through, like, as Cole had mentioned, like we want to promote these businesses that are participating in the program. We think it's great what they're doing and how they're engaged. I was thinking through, like, how can we promote these folks at our Earth Day that's coming up in April? And do we have enough capacity? And maybe some of us would be interested in volunteering to kind of recruit some businesses to...
Love that help.
Maybe between now and April, we can get some businesses on board, have them participate somehow, whether they want to be directly engaged or we're just giving them a thank you on a poster board. Something to... not only motivate us as patrons of Glendale that go shopping and do business in Glendale, but also to get involved in this process to advance the work that you all are doing. So yeah, I was just thinking through internally how long this could take, and if we can get things done by April, it'd be a nice deadline to work against.
Sure. And in the meantime, I'll try to work on getting them at least listed on the Glendale website. I would, could you turn it to the last slide? Just so you know, the website to send them to is, one more. Yep, glendaleca.gov/green-business. That's where they can sign up, register, and there's more information there.
Do you have like a template email or some kind of toolkit that we could easily like copy paste to perhaps we know some business owners or a business that we frequent that we're comfortable asking directly something you can just kind of
Yeah.
package for us that we can easily
Sure.
share, I'd be happy to do that, and I'm sure some of us would be as well.
Sure, I'd love to. Let me know who I can send it to.
I guess share that with
Okay.
David, and
Yeah.
David can share it with us.
Thank
That'd
you
be great.
so much. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we're closing up now, and then in March, after March will be, I mean, businesses they can register now, but they would be kind of on a wait list until we start up again in March. But yeah, it takes a little while to get them to register.
I
so.
was wondering what qualifies as a small to medium business? Is it by, square footage, number of employees,
It can be
annual
number.
sales?
Yeah, it ranges for employees anywhere from 0 to 50. I mean, we just to be clear, we have enrolled large businesses. I think Beyond Limits is one of them. They have over 200 employees, so we will not turn down any business as long as they're eligible for the sector. But yeah, small to medium, 0 to 50 square footage. It really depends. But again, we don't, it's primarily for that size, but if any business is interested in working with us, we would love to work with them.
Question, do you have the capacity and the budget to do more?
No.
Okay, so we've hit
No.
the ceiling.
Yeah,
So
the 30
publicizing it more
Yeah,
not going
because
to really
we-
help because we've hit the max, sort of,
Yeah, because each assessment, we,
unless the
there's a
city
fee,
devotes additional funds.
additional funds.
Okay, that explains something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one quick question on the foodware samples you say. I assume you know bioplastics or that it's all fiber, ag-based
fiber.
fiber. Right, thanks.
Yes, and just to give you hope, like our office is located in Santa Monica, and Santa Monica we banned polystyrene in 2006, and it's doable. Like I work with restaurants that are primarily mostly fiber based. The only challenges really are cups and lids. That's the
Cups are the dilemma because
Cups
they
and
need the
lids.
lining, yeah.
Yeah, cups and
Okay,
lids,
but you've overcome objections to like what Alec was mentioning about fiber-based containers retaining heat, not leaking, et cetera.
It's
Okay.
very doable. And fiber-based utensils, we really
Right.
push, of course, reusables are the best answer, but it's doable to phase out polystyrene. It can be done. We will survive.
Over 100 jurisdictions in California have banned or restricted EPS in some way, so yeah.
Yes, we'll get there.
So do you think it would be possible to have one of the businesses that are in the food business that's doing the food recovery to come and speak at one of our meetings about how they're doing that? Because I know that some people have approached me and asked if that's actually happening, because I know it's part of the law and everything, but I think just that visibility of people seeing that food go to people who need it and so on might generate a little more
Sure.
enthusiasm and give publicity to people that are participating in the program.
We could. Our primary, again, like our small to medium-sized restaurants, they don't really have a lot of leftover edible food, so we're getting them to compost the leftover food in the organics bin. I'm not sure out of the ones we've enrolled that we have any that are donating because they're just too small. They're just too small. They don't have the excess to donate. But as we enroll bigger ones.
Yeah, maybe that's a carrot you can dangle in front of
You know.
them, like, hey, do food recovery and come talk about it at sustainability. And
Because
Yeah.
Glendale does have a contract for food rescue. Is Allison's
and that's-
company Carrot? Is that the name? Yeah.
That's
yeah, so-
Recreate.
Yeah,
So actually, they may be a better
right.
fit to find those restaurants. I want to mention too, it's a 3-year certification. So once it lasts for 3 years, after 3 years, they need to recertify. That's why you saw, includes 2. So we have recertified a few businesses from 2020 this year.
One other question.
I love these questions.
Yeah. So you collect metrics on each of the measures that these businesses do. I guess I'm wondering.
Some of the measures, like where a
some of the
metric is
measures.
possible to
Okay.
collect.
Because I'm just thinking about does the California Green Business Network, on their list, do they publish, I guess, what some of the measures are? Or is it just like you do the majority of them and you get the certification? Or are there does it list out what some of the ones they've completed are? That's the question.
Yes, so you can get there. I think greenbusinessca.org is the website. If you click on Contact Us, there are some samples. We don't post them readily available because it would scare some businesses, you know, the language, the jargon. So, you know, there's 50 measures. So we tend to have, we talk with them, sell them on the program, have them register, and then we walk them through everything. Because it can seem a little
Daunting.
daunting,
Yeah.
that's the word I was looking for. A little
Okay.
daunting just to publish it out there. So we kind of, and it's all virtual, it's all online. So it's
Right.
not like one big list. And they're in sections, we break it down. So, but there are some samples, and there are some samples on the list, on the flyer that went around. There are a couple of, you know, LEDs, yeah.
Yeah,
There's some
that's what I'm
samples
taking
there.
a look at. Because for me, I'm just thinking like if there was a database that could be searched for like what businesses offer employee commuting options, something to that kind of degree where I would be able to just like filter almost like that.
We can do that as coordinators.
Right.
We could filter that, but the public can't.
It's not publicized, okay. So on the public-facing website, all we really see is that they have been certified. We don't really see much more than that. But this list is available,
Yes.
so you can kind of get a sense of what it would take for these businesses.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What's the other, is it True? The True certification? Is that, if you're looking for a checklist, they have a checklist. I mean, you won't see this one.
Specifically for waste, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it's more for waste, but it kind of it's very extensive and gives you an idea, so. Just one other question, I'm sorry, I forgot. Office products, are you looking for post-consumer content?
Totally. That's what we do. So it's educating on the importance of recycling your paper, recycling your plastic, and then in every product purchasing, we close the loop. That's how we explain it. So purchase recycled content, especially high consumables, toilet paper and tissue paper, printing paper are like the ones that we really push. But businesses choose a list of, I think, 8 things. What can you buy that's post-consumer content recycled? Paper towel, napkins, toilet paper, and they choose, but it's a minimum 3. And actually, I correct myself, printing paper is required to be a minimum 30% post-consumer. We try to push 100. We give some sample reams. And then for the other janitorial paper products, they choose the 3 out of the list. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed speaking with you all today. Have a lovely evening and look forward to continuing to work with Glendale on the Green Business Program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Item 6B, Sustainability Commission 2024 Work Plan Discussion.
Good evening, Commissioners. Hard to follow that, but we will try. We came to the Commission meeting in January to discuss this, and I think the Chair decided that she wanted all the Commission to be available, all the Commissioners to be available to discuss the work plan for the upcoming year. So we're just going to go through it very quickly. We're just going to, for the sake of the Commissioners who weren't here last month, just overview some of the highlights of the Commission, and then talk about the work plan for 2024. So the 2023 work plan, the Commission selected 5 priority areas and 12 different projects within those priority areas to work on. Next slide. And then from those 12 projects, there are a number of highlights that the Commission accomplished. Looking at the 2021 greenhouse gas emissions inventory results, promotion of the CAP at Community Climate Engagement, the mini-grant program, promotion of the CAP feedback cards and workshops. I know Commissioner Werner was within her neighborhood, very responsible for doing a lot of that type of work. And the Commission also had the opportunity to review the scenario planning for the Climate Action Adaptation Plan greenhouse gas reduction strategies and Spark tool. And later on in the meeting, I'll talk about where we are with the CAP. And the Commission also did a lot of public outreach. Some of the highlights were the Clark School field trip to the LA County Water Treatment Plant, which the previous ex officios organized and got their cohort to. And again, launching the Sustainability Stewardship Awards. We know that people who receive those awards are very grateful for receiving those awards. So we'd like to thank the Commission for promoting that and recognizing those members of our community who do outstanding things regarding sustainability. And regarding energy emissions reductions, the Commission had the opportunity to review the solar PV and EV permit process. Members of the planning department came to review that process with the Commission, and the Commission was able to get their feedback on that, plus give feedback on the ban of gas-powered leaf blowers. Next slide, please. The Commission also had the opportunity to review the mandatory water-efficient landscaping ordinance and provide the feedback on that, and also to recommend on update and expansion of the Glendale tree protection programs. I think Lauren Click came a number of times to the Commission. The Commission had the opportunity to provide him information too, as well as some mobility programs. So I think all in all, the work of 2023 that the Commission did was successful and impactful in our community. And I'd like to thank the Commission and congratulate the Commission for that work that they did. For 2024, we're kind of like rearranging the work plan a little bit to focus around the 4 areas or the 4 systems that we're looking at within the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. So within the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, or the CAP, we're looking at developing mitigation and adaptation measures around building systems, urban ecosystems, social governance systems, and mobility and land use. So it seemed logical that the Commission would maybe want to work in those areas. So that is our suggestion. And also to continue outreach engagement in the community, to involve the community in the Commission work, also to let the community know the great things that the City of Glendale is doing and what's available to them as they want to become greener in their own operations and practices, just like promoting the Green Business Network that we heard about later today. So our first question to the Commission is, do you agree with working within these focus areas? Do you want to do additional areas, delete? We'd just like to get your guidance and feedback on this. And then after that, we'll go into some of the projects that we've highlighted that we think the Commission may want to work on in 2024. So I'd open up to your discussion, your questions, and your comments.
I was wondering what is meant by social governance systems. Could you give some examples of that?
Yes, so that is about the process. If you give me 1 minute while I get my paper ready.
Okay, we'll stall. Yeah, how about them 49ers?
So I was on a webinar today when they're talking about building electrification, and they're playing that song by what's his, Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue, which was like quite ironic. So.
If you flip to the next
so
slide,
this-
some examples.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
next slide.
okay.
Next slide. So that is mainly social governance systems, maybe putting in place the infrastructure and like recommending work through the CAP, presenting the annual work plan to the council, reviewing the EPP. So it's not so much actions, but it's actions that are required to implement the CAP that we need those social governance systems to help us implement the measures that we're going to develop over time.
So it's more like policy development then, okay.
So what you see in front of you are the priority areas or suggestions for the Commission to work on in 2024. A number of these projects are carried over from 2023. A number of them have been suggestions and recommendations by the Commission for us to work on together. So I don't want to go read them all individually, but we're here today to talk through them, get your input and feedback on whether you like what you see, you don't like what you see, if there's something that we should delete, amend, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we're not limited to this stuff. Commissioners can bring new topics as we learn about them months from now. I mean, we're not bound by, this is not a contract. This is a plan.
This is a plan, this is not a contract, but this would give us,
Guidance.
yes, and helps us as staff schedule the work to be done through the year, bring these items to the agenda and everything. So it just helps us have a little bit of a plan. And we also do have to submit the work plan to the city council, saying the kind of areas that we are going to work on.
But, I mean,
if-
the reason I bring it up, I don't know what I don't know. 6 months from now, I might find out about an issue or something that might come to our attention and we'll bring here. We're not going to say, oh, can't touch it in 2024 because it wasn't in the plan.
Correct. So yes, something may occur to bring to the commission that it's like a priority. It's really, really important because, as you say, we don't know what's going to happen. And at that point, we'll talk about that. We'll adjust that. We'll look at the work plan. We'll say, maybe we'll move this item lower down the priority and make this item a higher priority because that's a priority of the commission.
Or as we're reviewing one of these items, something might come up and will take us, to another project. Okay. Yeah, I have no objection with the list. Fairly comprehensive.
Yeah, I would agree. This looks pretty good. There's quite a lot on here. There's a lot of stuff that we've been doing that I appreciate. I'm glad to see that we will be continuing. But there are a few things that I want us to focus on that don't have the asterisks on them, like the waste reduction programs. And then, of course, the building performance standards, which in light of the recent decision from the Ninth Circuit, that's going to be important going forward. So, yeah, I think this looks good. It's a lot, as always. I don't know if we will be able to get to all of it, but I hope so. So, yeah, looks good to me.
I like it. Looks good.
I think it's well done. Can't think of anything that I would change about it, so looks very comprehensive. I think if we added anything, we'd run the risk of not getting as many other things done. So it's very full.
So the next question, is there any priority things on here that you think we should tackle first or really focus on?
I'm a little biased, but I think the DR, the demand response program, is something both personally I'm interested, but I think given where we are with, Glendale having our own power plant, a limited capacity, I think the demand response program is going to be key. I'm a little biased on that.
So maybe we focus on the projects carried over from last year, try and put those to bed where we can, and then once we've done that, we can select additional projects to focus on as a group.
Yes, we're handling the old business before taking on the new business on an agenda. And on the climate action adaptation plan, since that's has some timing constraints to it, since that's due at some point. So where are we on that right now? I know there was outreach, and is there still time for the public to weigh in on that?
Thank you, Commissioner Werner, for that question. So we have completed the outreach on the draft measures. We've just completed the internal outreach on the draft measures to understand the capacity and planning of different departments to be able to implement the different draft measures. So right now, we are editing the draft measures based on all that feedback. So we're going to go out once more to the community, the list of the final measures, based on all the input that we've received that final input from the community. So that takes place through April of this year. We're going to be doing a number of outreach events. After April, at that time, they'll start finalizing the mitigation measures, and then we're going to move on to the CEQA analysis of the Climate Action Adaptation Plan, which is a 3 or 4 month process, I believe, maybe a little bit longer. The aim is to have the Climate Action Adaptation Plan ready for City Council by September, October of this year. So that's a rough time frame. Just be aware that the consultants and that staff will be coming back to this commission within the next 4 months with the final draft measures to get your additional feedback onto the Climate Action Adaptation Plan. And once we come to this commission, we'll be going to a number of other commissions, then City Council with the draft, get the feedback from City Council, and then going back to City Council again later on in the year for final, if they choose to, adoption of the Climate Action Adaptation.
So when does the public, the second round of the public engagement start?
We're just finalizing that with the consultants right now, how we're going to do that, what type of like props and information we're trying to get across. So, but it aims to begin, I think, we're going to finalize that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I think end of February is when we'll be out back in front of the public.
Okay, thank you.
I'm fine with the strategy of finishing what we've carried over. Good idea, I think.
We'll focus on those areas then. Okay. And we've decided to come up with a bingo card.
Can you go back a slide? I didn't know there was more. Or this is
No,
the
these are the
same.
same.
Just a different.
Oh,
format.
it's
They spread
different.
it out.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Because the
Okay.
previous slide had a picture that's not in
Yeah,
Glendale.
that's
You
right.
say, where is that? Solar.
field.
And then to track our progress, we thought we'd use a bingo card. So every time we knock one of these off, we'll take it. So, there is a lot of work to be done, but we think we're looking forward to doing the work, implementing this, and begin hopefully creating change in our community through the work of the commission and of staff supporting the commission in this work.
This is wonderful, all the work you put into this, but this summarizes it so nicely. And I just want to shout out to Nora. Also, thank you for all the work. And the Earth Day planning meeting went really well the other day. I think it's going to go well. Thank you.
So Abby has no doubt Elizabeth created this. So that's just. And we know the innovative one in the group, and that is Elizabeth. So.
Yeah, there you go. One day off for the whole.
Alrighty, going forward to item C, which is Sustainability Commission Report to City Council.
So this may warrant some discussion. Again, we brought it to the January meeting. The chair asked us to bring this back to the February meeting so the full commission had the opportunity to deliberate and provide comment to staff. Jennifer, Chairperson Pinkerton was asking the question, how does the commission get in front of council? How do they get their information, their reports, their ideas in front of council for council to be aware of it and where it needs to be to take action? So just for review, as we developed the ordinance, we did say, next slide please, that the commission shall prepare and submit an annual work plan to the city council, which is city council review for approval. And the annual work plan shall, among other things, set forth the goals and priorities that will guide the commission's work during the coming year. So that's your opportunity to let city council know these are our priorities, these are the areas we're going to work on, get their approval and backing towards that. And the commission can submit the annual report to the council and other reports to the city council as and when appropriate.
We've never done that, right?
We did, but
Did we?
staff did it on
Oh, okay.
behalf of the commission.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So as the commission does works and deliberates and comes up with ideas, how do you get that information to council? So the ways that we structurally able to do it within the city, or the way that we do it in the city, is that sometimes a motion is passed by the commission that requires action by the council, like the approval of an ordinance. So that'll be a staff report that'll be written by staff, obviously, going to under the action items for city council. At that point, city council will deliberate, review the report, and make an action based on the recommendations in the report. The other way that we can get information to city council is through a note and file report. So information is just presented to council for them to review, and again, note and file, but they do not take any action on that. So, for example, if the commission may have a set of recommendations that don't require action by the council, but the commission feels that the council should be aware of and it's important for them, we could do a note and file report based on your guidance, based on your thoughts, and put that report and present that to council. And then finally, the staff will consent calendar items. So items that will have no discussion, no deliberation. They'll just be on consent calendar if something needs approval as part of the consent calendar process, and a report could be submitted in that way. So that's currently how the commission can get information in front of the council as to the work of the commission and to the recommendations of the commission. In terms of work coming to the commission, obviously city council may ask the commission to deliberate on an item like they did with artificial turf, like they did with the leaf blower program, like they did with single-use plastics. So there'll be a direct request from city council for that to come to the commission. The commission then deliberate and make those recommendations back to city council in the form of a staff report. And then other ways work comes to the commission is maybe a member of public will bring something up for the commission. The commission members themselves bring something from the dais, like Commissioner Pinkerton did with the Green Business Program, like Commissioner Bartrasuf has done with the drive-through moratorium and some other programs. Staff may also bring information to the commission for them to deliberate, and the subcommittees like we do with the student ad hoc selection subcommittee. So that's basically the process of how information comes into the commission, how the commission can deliberate and get information back out to council.
Can you give me an example of what would be like a note and file item that the commission would send to the council?
So that's something that we haven't done yet, but maybe the commission, as part of the greenhouse gas, the climate action adaptation plan, maybe the commission would say, we need to support the development of green space in the city. We would make a recommendation that council does that. So that would be that type of note and file. There'd be no action, but it'd be a recommendation for the commission to say, we think that the council may want to think about this work. This council may want to delegate some of this work to some of the other commissions, what they need to do. So that would be an example of where that would potentially happen.
Okay.
But our minutes also go on, aren't those on a note and file basis to the,
Not to city council.
not to council? Okay.
Council minutes are for their meeting, but not the commission's
Yeah, frequently it would be like an informational report. Maybe staff just comes and gives a report on something that's not going to require a vote.
Yeah, this is helpful, David. Thank you. I guess the question that's come up before is how things that we bring up here come back to us, and whether it's a report or if it's an action item. I think that's been maybe a sticking point on certain things. So I understand that in our commission comments at the beginning, that's usually the point at which we can request things. Is there more opportunity than that? I mean, should we speak with Chair Pinkerton about this or with you directly? Is that kind of the way in which we can request things? I mean, is there, I guess help me with that. Like, what's the best process for getting something, for instance, agendized as an action item?
So the best way for it to happen is for you to have that discussion on the dais, get support from your commission members that this is something that you want staff to investigate and bring a report back on. Then staff would work with the chair of the commission to say, right, this is the staff's workload outside the work of the commission. These are the windows for the staff to perform this research, do this work, and bring that back to the commission for your deliberation and review. We now have a little bit more support within our office in terms of, so we have a little bit more capacity probably to work on some of the commission requests. But I think we need a very honest discussion with the chair, say that this is an item that we cannot bring back until this day because this item either requires a lot of research, requires a small amount of research, can be based on other reports that have already been previously done by other staff members and other commissions, and we can just pull that information. So that is a discussion that we would have to have.
Okay, that's helpful. And I guess that comes up for me because I'm thinking about this potential March 6th joint meeting with planning for the bike plan. And I don't know if you know, but is that going to be, like, will that be an action item that we're deciding on jointly for them to either approve or, amend that bike plan as proposed?
So that'll be an opportunity for you to give comment and recommendations on the bike plan. The consultants will then take those recommendations with staff, develop that into the final plan, but the decision regarding the final bike plan, I assume, rests with City Council.
Of course,
and,
right.
and not the commission.
Okay, so we can urge or add to our deliberation, we can urge council to approve it as it's written or with certain modifications. And that would come to them as, I guess, an additional document.
So in the report that goes to council, part of that report will be what stakeholder outreach has been done. That's one of the sections that needs to be completed in the staff reports.
Mm-hmm.
So within that section, it would be my assumption that the consultants and staff members who are responsible for that report say, we came to the commission on this day at this meeting, and these are the recommendations that the commission made at that meeting from the sustainability, the transportation, whatever the commission is, and then staff at that point would say, of these recommendations, we have taken this set of recommendations and included those into the final report.
Okay. What can you give an example for A on here? What a item that's come before this commission? Forgive me if I've forgotten, but have we had one in the last year that falls into that category?
So I think we did with the original building electrification. I believe that council asked the commission to input in that. So that was put into a final staff report. The single-use plastics polystyrene ban came to the commission first for input before that went to City Council. The leaf blower ordinance came to the commission too for input before that went to council.
Okay.
Those are the three I can.
And the tree protection ordinance.
Protection.
That's
correct.
right. Okay, thank you.
And if you read the report for the city council meeting that's going to be next week, it's actually already out there because it was supposed to be discussed this past Tuesday. I even looked. I said it specifically says that the Sustainability Commission, recommended that we also add, additional shade trees, but then staff says, we don't agree, and this is why, and it'd be too expensive, what have you. But I mean, they did put that in there, as well as the recommendation that fine be larger for the quote unquote unknown trees under 30 inches. That made it in there as well. So they just roll it into their overall report, basically.
Those are helpful comments because in the outreach section, I think it would be important for the council to know, though, that the Sustainability Commission said X, Y, Z, not that it's just rolled in as a generic, public comment. So I think that's, I would hope, be useful to council. Thanks.
I had a technical question. I've wrestled with this, action item, report only. Is there like a technical or like, can we just say we want everything to be action items? Like what's the, what is the difference on your end as staff?
Members of the commission, Commissioner Bottersoof, from a practical standpoint, the items and issues that you review aren't all going to require action. Some will just require information as was provided today. Technically, for an action item, it would have to be noticed as an action item, and the action would need to be indicated, usually by motion or resolution. So, and there would need to be a majority vote in order to pass that. So, put in simple form, that would be what an action item would entail, as opposed to just an informational item or two, which we've heard already this evening, which generates discussion, but no particular action. If, as Mr. Jones has indicated, the commissioner's desire is to have an item come back to the commission for consideration and action, such as a recommendation to the city council, then staff could prepare that within the reasonable timeframes, which staff will indicate are available to them to prepare, to do the research and prepare that information and bring it back. So hopefully that provides just a framework, but it was kind of a generic question, so a little bit of a generic answer.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's very helpful. I think the growing distinction, or my understanding, is that report items are things that we're simply learning and digesting as a commission, and action items are us actually taking a position on something, and that we want that position to be known to city council. So I have always been an advocate of us taking more action and taking a position on things, because it's one thing for us as a commission to be absorbing information and learning what the city's doing, the options, and what is out there that we can pursue as a city. But that is merely absorbing that information and not doing anything with it. So we're not like literally advising council. The only caveat to that is yes, staff is taking notes and they'll take in our comments. But again, that's taken in as, our informal, let's say, feedback. So, with the bike plan, for example, I argue that could be an action item. We could say as a commission, yes, we are voting that we approve this draft bike plan and we endorse it as it goes to city council, as we can with any other item we choose to take action on. So I'd like to encourage us as commissioners to be more proactive in asking for action items rather than simply take in information.
The only some items that you may wish to take action on may be the purview of other commissions and not this commission. So I think we'd have to understand that this isn't the purview of the Community Service and Parks Commission or something like that. So, and again, City Council will ask for specific action items for the Commission to work on and recommend that to City Council. So there's that slight grey area. You may take an action on the bike plan, but that wouldn't be a formal action report to City Council. That would go back to staff for them to put through the different commission and for them to recommend. It wouldn't be a direct action from this commission to City Council, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I remember I was reading a staff report this morning about another item, and I do see in the notes in the staff report that a commission has voted a certain way in support or in opposition. It includes notes on some comments that generalize the intent or how that vote came about. I do think, however, that even if there is cross-jurisdictional or some may even argue that an item should not come to us, should go to another commission instead. It doesn't prevent us from still forming an opinion and advising council. So as I've mentioned about, or I've previewed my intention with an action item request for recommending a specific park at a specific location to council. I understand that is probably more in the purview of the Parks Commission, but it doesn't mean that we are prevented from making an opinion and advising council on that particular item. So I don't want folks to feel like, because there's been this struggle about, what falls into sustainability and what falls into other commissions. If most of our greenhouse gas emissions come from transportation, we're not going to just assume that the Transportation Commission is going to take up all items that are mobility related. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't want the commission to perceive that as, we shouldn't be taking action if it's not strictly in our purview.
Yeah, a lot of our issues do seem to cross paths with all these other ones. I think the bicycle plan's a perfect example because it's transportation, it's planning, and it's the environment. So it's like this combination of all those, and parks. Also, we've had that joint meeting. So would it be possible to get a copy of the draft bicycle plan since we're going to be talking about it early next month? I'd like to.
I would have to ask some staff and consultants whether that is available for public comment at this point. But if it's going to be in a staff report, you would get it as part of the meeting packet.
But those come like the Friday before the Wednesday meeting, and sometimes some things take a little more time to digest. I imagine that's probably a pretty comprehensive report. So I just wanted to, make sure I have time to.
So yeah, that timeline will be by the other commission and when they deliver their packets. So, but yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, thank you.
Alrighty, next item is item 7, Sustainability Office Updates.
So I'll let Nora provide the first update on the Earth Day planning.
Yes, so during the last meetings, the Sustainability Commission voted to have 2 representatives for the Earth Day Planning and Implementation Committee. This past Monday was our first meeting, and planning is underway. Earth Day Fair is going to have many activities under it, and we're also aiming to have Earth Day month programming. So it's going to be multi-part events. Everything is currently in the planning phase, in the beginning planning phases, but we are aiming to have 3 campaigns be part of Earth Day Fair, and we're aiming for Earth Day Fair to be a zero waste event. The zero waste is aspirational, but that's what we are aiming towards. And we're aiming to have educational component be part of the entire fair and have campaigns around the fair just educating people as to why zero waste is important and why Earth Day Fair is important to be celebrated throughout Glendale. The fair will take place at Verdugo Park, and it will be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on April 20th.
Thank you, Nora. So we have got Earth Day planning going along. A little bit of kudos for the Sustainability Office. We're invited to be part of the Valley Economic Alliance think tank on sustainability this week. So that was discussion with the Deputy Mayor of Los Angeles and the City of Los Angeles. We had ourselves, Burbank, and some other gentleman, I can't remember the name. Unfortunately, I was sick, so Elizabeth stepped in and did an amazing job, as you would imagine, representing the commission, so representing the city and the commission, I guess. Staff, Elizabeth and Nora, are embarking on lead training, so we're excited for them and the opportunity that they have to do that. And then, as Commissioner Bazemore mentioned, we're working right now on how to move forward with building electrification in response to the request from Mayor Brockman of identifying a different way, that based on the Berkeley decision, that we can reach the goal of all electric buildings and what opportunities are available to us. We connect with our consultants, Rincon, they're going to prepare a white paper and some opportunities for us as a city to examine and look at. So that's going to be a big project that we're kind of excited to be working on in the next 6 months or whatever. And that's it.
David, do you have any updates or anything else you could share about the internal conversations within the city on the cap? I know there was a meeting, I think I saw something from Elizabeth about that. How's that going with the city?
So we've had 2 individual meetings, one with GWP, which is a 2-hour meeting, and then one with Public Works, because those 2 departments are going to be instrumental in doing a lot of the work within the CAP. Those 2 meetings went very well. We did not get a lot of pushback, but we got a lot of clarification from the work that GWP is already doing, where they see bottlenecks regarding some of the measures and actions identified in the CAP. So with that information, we're working on the consultants, and we're going to go back out and have, especially with GWP, we're going to have additional meetings with them to try and overcome those bottlenecks and understand some of the capacity issues that they may have. And then last week, we had our actually on-site all-day meeting, so from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. And each 2-hour session or 1 hour, 45-minute session was based around the different systems. So that's where we brought different departments together to look at the different systems and provide their comment and feedback, again, what they have the capacity to do, what kind of staffing is going to potentially be required for them to implement and develop some of these measures. So the conversations, I would say, were very transparent and very honest, and a lot of the questions came out from staff members attending that meeting is, how are we going to implement this CAP? There's a lot in here. We do not have the resources. We do not have the staff to be able to implement these measures. A lot of them are good. That is something that we want to do. So we began to have that conversation with them. And as part of the CAP process, we're going to have develop an implementation plan where we're going to identify the different staff resources required to implement these different measures and the potential capital cost to implement these different measures. So that conversation is very much started and it's ongoing. So that is, again, going to inform the next process within the CAP.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned about the Berkeley decision, just for the benefit of the folks at home that may not know about that lawsuit. I thought maybe you might want to mention that a little bit, or one of us can cover it.
The Assistant City Attorney was much better.
Well, yes, thank you. Hello. Members of the commission. So the California Restaurant Association challenged Berkeley's exemption, or not exemption, excuse me, banning, not through its building and safety code, but through another portion of it under health and safety and police power, the gas infrastructure, and did not provide an alternative, although there were some exemptions within its legislation that the court didn't really take much note of. Quite a apparently conservative court compared to prior Ninth Circuit courts. The 3-judge panel determined that it did violate the Environmental Policy and Conservation Act, EPCA, and the City of Berkeley did request a hearing en banc, which is the majority of all of the Ninth Circuit judges, and that request was denied. So here we sit in the Ninth Circuit, which is essentially the western part of the United States, trying to make a fair determination of whether or not the regulations we've adopted are violative of those very broad holdings. Staff and I and my colleagues in other cities and city attorneys' offices have read many sort of analyses of, is it or is it not, something that comprehensively banned our ability to regulate in this area. Will it affect end users? So the Ninth Circuit panel took a very broad approach to the overall regulatory framework that guides how appliances that are used by end users might be affected by the sort of language in these regulations. And to sort of put it generically, you know, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck, whether or not it may be under a REACH code or a building safety code or another a portion of a policy supported by health and safety code authority to regulate. So we've all, you know, put a pin in this, taken a pause, and we're looking for ways to qualify under the exemptions that exist. There are 7 exemptions under EPCA that we may be eligible for. Many of those revolve around establishing preferences. Today, David and I, thank you for sending that to me, David. It was at the last minute. It was an hour-long briefing by experts and consultants in this area who are working around the western United States and other states, in fact, on the East Coast, to develop new bits of legislation, modifications to legislation that will allow agencies, cities to regulate in this area and not run afoul of the of EPCA. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We are not 100% against the potential regulation as it's drafted right now, with whether or not we could enforce it, but it does raise a lot of questions. It's not exactly what was in front of the Ninth Circuit panel. It doesn't exactly represent what Berkeley did, but it may be close enough in certain respects that you want to take a cautious approach. So on that basis, we are pursuing, on a very rapid basis, I would say, working with Rincon, looking at other consultants that are out there who are exploring it in broader terms and may have bits of legislation from other jurisdictions that we can not necessarily have to reinvent the wheel in order to enter back into that regulatory space in an effective way that will pass muster under EPCA. So it's kind of a long-ranging explanation there. But right now, in terms of how this municipality reacts, we are bound by the ruling of the Ninth Circuit.
Any chance the Attorney General will appeal, can this be appealed to the Supreme Court?
Well, the attorneys for Berkeley can request can file a petition for certification, but it's not obligated. There's no obligation, so it's not really appeal in the sense that it would be appeal from a superior court to the appellate court. They have to take that. It's entirely discretionary. There are many aspects of that case. It is a federal question under federal law, so it does qualify as a question that could be asked to be resolved by the Supreme Court, but they really don't accept many cases for certification. Right. So I do not know the status of that or whether that would occur, and obviously because of that broad discretion that they have, even if it is a federal question, to take it up at all. Right. The percentage is not necessarily too high. So given that, we're mobilizing to address it, to be able to provide, whether it's, dual infrastructure, this would affect new construction moving forward. We are exploring all of those avenues at this time and gathering data from as many sources as we possibly can, and vetting it and talking with our colleagues really around the Western United States, because many of us are faced with the same challenge of how best to do this. Right. So we'll keep the commission apprised as things move forward.
That restaurant commission association is pretty powerful. I mean, they're the first ones out, pushing back on polystyrene. I mean, they've got a long history of that type of stuff.
Right.
Dumb question. It's a little off topic, but maybe not. Has the U.S. Supreme Court weighed in on EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gases? Did they say they do or do not have the ability yet, or is that still pending?
I don't have a status update on that, but we could,
Oh, no,
bring a,
it's
you know,
just-
quick
yeah.
staff comment, status report back to you on that.
Just kind of struck me as related, because if the EPA does have the ability to do that, and California has its own waivers for air quality, I would think that might be an opening for regulating natural gas, if we can't do it like Berkeley did, but just
Good question.
random comment.
We're all out here asking those types of questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, banning gas appliances, as Berkeley wanted to do, was struck down, so that was,
Technically, it was the infrastructure. So you can't get it, if you can't get gas to the building, you can't install
Yeah, your
a
gas stove
gas
isn't a lot of
appliance.
good.
And therefore,
Yeah,
you're an
gas
end
company,
user that has been impacted by your, you know, you've had that choice taken from you. So it was essentially the lack of choice in that regard. And these preference programs don't take away the choice, but other than do you want to take advantage of the preferences and other incentives you might receive by choosing electric over gas, and how is that structured? So that's what we're taking a look at in kind of in a nutshell. Yeah.
But they didn't address, I mean, if I were to build a new building, I'm not mandated to provide a gas hookup, am I, if I build a new commercial building?
No, you're
There's
not.
nothing, no, okay, nothing on the builder side. The builder side, okay.
I know Mayor Brotman wanted to do, was exploring, wanting y'all to explore having the buildings be required to be all electric ready, but still have gas. So if down the road it gets banned, then, you know, they wouldn't be
We're exploring that as well.
having to do expensive upgrades.
It's certainly more expensive after the fact to do a retrofit. So we're looking at that. There would be some cost benefit analysis that will go into whether that would become part of our recommendation. It's a goalpost that's moving around quite a bit right now.
Are there any specific policies or legislation that Glendale has, like, currently, or is looking at implementing that this affects us, like, specifically?
Are you speaking in terms of the current legislation we have that?
Yeah, is there any current legislation we have or thinking of proposing that this affects us specifically, or is it
You mean the commission or the
Glendale City?
The city of Glendale? Yes. Obviously, we had this bit of legislation that was impacting new development and essentially prohibiting the installation of the gas infrastructure. So the end users would be deprived of the choice of putting in a gas
So we did have
stove.
legislation that was similar.
We did, and then in the intervening period, the ruling came down. So now, as I indicated, we're looking at these options in order to fall into one of the 7 exemptions from that regulation. And that's the good news. There are exemptions, so we'll explore each of them to see how they fit.
Okay, thank you.
Item 8, adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Seconded.